It's 2006. You're young, impressionable, and let's face it, kind of weird. You turn on the TV. You flip through the ever-growing number of channels that you have access to until you pause on a poorly lit set where a familiar face, is that not Lindsay Lohan's Barbie doll? Tells a wafer-thin girl that she should only eat the burger and leave the bun, lest she get any fatter.
I think it's all about choices, Kenya. You can get a burger and take the bread off. I make it work when I have to.
Thank you.
You click to the next channel, TLC, where Stacey London and Clinton Kelly are making an eccentric girl cry while they throw her entire wardrobe into a trash can.
You should just do it.
A couple more channels are clicked through before you stop on a woman with a mummified face. The woman keeps referring to herself as an ugly duckling.
Half lady, Joanne.
The channel surfing continues until you stop on an incredibly skinny woman yelling at somebody sobbing on a treadmill.
Keep walking!
You keep clicking away, eventually settling on the wholesome Flavor of Love marathon on VH1.
All the fake and all the naked girls and all these sexual innuendo, I'm hoping he sees through that.
The wave of reality television that swept the airways in the late 90s, early 2000s was truly staggering. I imagine I could do a multi-part deep dive on the Y2K reality television phenomenon because the cultural impact is wide and varied. However, in this video, I decided to focus on a couple reality television shows from that time period that essentially wreaked havoc on mine, my friends, and others' fragile adolescent self-esteem. I started perusing my mom's Victoria's Secret catalogs long before America's Next Top Model was even on my radar.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Tyra Banks, Heidi Klum, and others became familiar faces to me with ideal bodies.
Gay!
At 12, I decided I would one day become a Victoria's Secret model. I knew that some of the girls in the Victoria's Secret catalog were as young as 16, and I also knew that society celebrated their tiny waists and perfectly round breasts. As a bullied middle schooler, I realized I wanted to be celebrated too. At 5'5", just under 100 pounds, I found myself clinging to the one thing that felt worthy about myself, my thinness. I hopped on the ANTM train probably by the second season, and something that drew me in was the fact that these pretty model girls weren't the same kind of pretty as the girls who seemed to be bullying me at school. These model hopefuls were mostly too tall with strikingly strange features and overly long limbs and big feet. They could all be transformed from the weird girl to the model girl. So maybe I could be too. I am unfortunately excruciatingly aware of all the horrible things that happened on America's Next Top Model that aren't fat shaming, body shaming, or just generally making people feel bad about the way they look. But those videos already exist and they're easy to access if you want to watch them. As a former fan of the show though, who started watching it at around 12 years old, the personal impact of the series was primarily rooted in self-esteem and self-worth.
Kind of like child prostitute. Dip it, bitch! This is the worst photograph I've ever seen. It looks like you have a penis. You gotta work on the thighs. She's huge. She's not going to be a top model. She
won't. That's
she
the
should
reality.
work
That's
for a
what.
car toppling.
I didn't have the intellectual tools at the time to process that hearing Tyra Banks say things like, we wanted to create a show that celebrated all different types of beauty and showed different kinds of bodies and different types of people, and then turning around and mocking a contestant's tooth gap was confusing to me.
You really think you can have a cover girl contract with the gap in your room? This is all people see. It's easier and beautiful cover girl.
And not just confusing, it was ultimately harmful to the way I viewed myself and the way that I viewed others. To say my views about bodies, body shaming, and fat phobia were skewed by watching this program growing up would be a colossal understatement. In cycle 10, fans were thrilled, well, most fans were thrilled, when Whitney Thompson was cast as the first contestant considered plus size on America's Next Top Model. She ultimately went on to win her season, which is great. The problem is this. These photos are her on the show. These are not after. This is the body that Tyra Banks was calling plus size. For years, I thought that anybody who was even slightly bigger than Whitney was morbidly obese. What?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I really wish I could say that America's Next Top Model is the worst of the worst that we're going to talk about on this video, but it just isn't. Which is both astounding and horrifying. Possibly the most sadistic show we're going to discuss today. Though, frankly, so many of these shows are fucking sadistic that it almost feels unfair to award this one that title. Is the short-lived, controversial, and heinous The Swan, which aired on Fox from April 7th, 2004 to December 20th, 2004. When I said short-lived, I fucking meant it.
4 months ago, these 9 women were given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change their lives forever.
Now, this delightful reality program offered women the chance to come to Los Angeles for 3 months, undergo a buttload of surgery, and turn from the ugly duckling they thought they were into a beautiful swan. This extreme makeover included therapy, personal trainers, dietitians, the whole 9 yards, but it seemed that most contestants were primarily interested in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the Swan was going to invest in plastic surgery for these contestants. The show was apparently advertised as like a full life makeover, though the print media about it really seemed more like, hey ladies, does your life suck? If so, it's because you're fucking ugly. Let us fix your face.
Is actually a very beautiful woman underneath all the, dare I say, less beautiful features.
I saw one clip that claimed that one contestant received over $3 million in cosmetic surgeries.
How can that be profitable for Frito-Lay?
Which for me begs the question, how is that worth it to the television, like to the production? Like that's a are you making... Perhaps that's why the show was short-lived. Or maybe viewers just didn't relate to people bettering themselves with hundreds of thousands of dollars of inaccessible surgery. I mean, fuck. It's almost impossible to find affordable therapy, let alone someone to fix your whole fucking face, which, if we're being honest, probably just needed a little bit of love and not a scalpel. Just like America's Next Top Model, I was bamboozled by this program for years and watched it out of what I thought was genuine entertainment. Because who wouldn't be entertained by watching two objectively pretty well-dressed people watch secret footage of an unassuming person trying to live their lives just to be sneak attacked by Clinton Kelly and Stacey London? Whoa, we're Stacey London and Clinton Kelly, and you're on What Not to Wear because one of your shit-ass friends thinks you're a frumpy, sloppy mess and is embarrassed to be seen with you.
I really don't know any different.
Okay, well, that's where we come in. We know a lot different.
A lot.
And we're willing to share our wisdom with you.
All right.
Now, I'm not saying that a lot of these makeovers didn't have attractive outcomes, but unfortunately, the show also served as a uniqueness vampire, sucking out each and every contestant's personality and repackaging it for mass consumption. And again, I'm aware that I do not have the information or the stats to say that none of these contestants weren't happy with their makeovers. I'm positive that lots of them were. But why did they insist on going after people who were self-admittedly happy, confident, whimsical, had no problems with how they looked, no confidence issues? The Sunny episode absolutely breaks my heart.
I'm like obsessed with fairies and glitter and pink.
Despite how happy she seemed in her fantasy-based clothing, Sunny's friends nominated her to bring her style out of the fairy forest and into the real world.
This girl does not seem like she has any problems of insecurities with her whimsical and fun style. It's just all the idiots around her who want her to change.
This is such a part of me, and if we're gonna do it, we should just do it.
That's fucked up. I'm sorry. That's fucked up. And what, were we all watching just like, yeah, throw the freak's clothes away? And honestly, sidebar, but an important fucking sidebar, I never ever felt like they gave the contestants enough money on that show to justify Stacey and Clinton literally throwing everything they own in a trash can, clothing-wise. I didn't even want to include this next show because it exemplifies some of the worst of what humanity can find entertaining, but this list wouldn't be complete without it.
The Biggest Loser was a cultural phenomenon.
For me, this show would have already been egregious if it had just been a weight loss competition. But the way they up the stakes for the contestants just takes it to a whole new level of degrading. As if it's not bad enough that you have trainers yelling at you and ultimately humiliating you on national television.
You faint, puke, or die, keep walking!
Add in the strangely exploitative binge challenges, and you have something I don't really think anyone should have ever found entertaining. Biggest Loser really just made me wonder, why are we tuning into a show every week that's 90% humiliation porn and only 10% healthy self-improvement?
What is wrong with you people? Huh?
Do we all really hate fat people that much?
Laura cried all week 1. I need to get some air. I can't stop. I feel like it's coming.
It's not coming. Get on the treadmill.
Not to mention that allegedly, many of the contestants were encouraged to go on crash diets, dehydrate themselves before weigh-ins, and one contestant even claims that she was told to gain weight before she appeared on the show.
I actually asked you to gain weight before you showed up? I was so determined to be on this show that I forced myself to gain 30 pounds.
I'm thankful I never really watched this show growing up because I already had enough issues as it is, and going back and watching clips of it, there's no way in hell that some youth and some adults walked away from being fans of that show with weird self-image and an eating disorder. And please note, basically no one on the show's life was changed for good. Almost every contestant who's been on the show has gained back a significant amount of weight because the practices on the show were always about entertainment. Not health, not longevity, and not truth. The last 2 shows I'm choosing to cover in this episode are going to seem kind of out of left field. I was brainstorming this episode with my best friend, and she brought up some of the ridiculous dating programs from channels like VH1 in the early 2000s. Total transparency, when she brought it up, I was like, I don't really understand how this fits into this category. When I think about those shows, I think about boobs, cheese, aging rock stars, but my mind never goes directly to shaming. Then my best friend starts talking about how some of these shows skewed her view of sexuality, what a woman's worth is. And then I realized, holy fucking fuck, these shows like Rock of Love, shows like Flavor of Love, were some of the most self-esteem, self-worth destroying pieces of television to come out of this time period. For transparency's sake, I have to admit that I never watched Flavor of Love, except for a couple, like, culturally important clips that circled the internet and were absolutely unavoidable if you were a millennial.
Do it! Slap me, bitch!
I did eat up Rock of Love like sugary cereal on a Saturday morning, however. However problematic that stupid show was, is also how entertaining it was. I'm not bringing up how entertaining it was as a justification for its existence. On the contrary, I find that I, and probably others, excused some of the more egregious sexism and commodification of women because the program we were watching was wrapped up in such a delectable package. That, in and of itself, made these shows more insidious than some of the other shows I've already mentioned. The shows I've mentioned earlier in this video are all about bettering yourself because you're average and society fucking hates average. Shows like Rock of Love were sold and advertised as a completely different genre of entertainment. It was a dating show, but it was also like a Japanese game show crossed with like softcore porn, I guess. just watch, I guess.
As the challenge starts, I'm hoping that these girls are willing to take a beating for their man.
So here we're challenging these women to do what exactly? Successfully push a stroller with a fake baby in it while playing amateur roller derby to prove that they can what exactly? That these poor women will do whatever stupid, demeaning, degrading task is placed in front of them because it means winning a man. And not just any man. Not just any man. This fucking gem.
Yeah, Magdalena had the most cleanly shaven, smooth, hot legs run all the way up to her ass. It was wonderful and beautiful. Oh. Uh-huh. Oh, good God. That is a killer shot. Oh, damn.
I don't even...
Believe it or not, jail, right away.
Shows like this so deeply skewed my view about what it meant to be valuable as a woman in our society. And yet somehow I didn't even realize that's what was happening. I laughed and gasped and mocked the contestants on shows like this because I thought I was better than them? Cut to my late teens and 20s, when I thought the only worth I had was what I could offer a man sexually. What fantasy I could fulfill for him. The tightrope of being appealing to men, and I guess society in general at large, was a fucking razor wire burning into the base of my feet. Be easy, but not too easy. Be slutty, but demure. Have enough of a personality that you're interesting, but not more of a personality that you overshadow him. Worship him, but don't be needy. Don't cheat, but make out and grind on every willing female participant you can find just for his viewing pleasure. Have kids. Be a good mom. Make sure your body doesn't change. Never be too tired for sex. Like what he likes more than you like what you like.
This is fine.
I think it's incredibly important to point out that the shows on this list, excluding The Biggest Loser, had all female contestants. I suppose with something like America's Next Top Model, that makes sense. But a show like What Not to Wear could have easily been unisex. And it was for the first season. But after the first season, I guess the producers of What Not to Wear realized that people preferred watching women be made over. And possibly also enjoyed the whole watching women be humiliated before they were made over thing. So they slashed the idea of having men on the show and started only having women.
Typical!
While today's most watched reality television tends to be Love is Blind or Love Island, and it seems we've collectively moved away from makeover shows for the most part, the humiliation of women and men still seems to permeate the reality television space and do more damage to the people watching and perhaps the people participating than any of us really realize. So while we may be inclined to watch the 1000th episode of The Bachelor, Tubi did just upload Whose Line Is It Anyways for free. And unlike most of Tubi's ads, these line up with the actual commercial breaks of the show. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel for more.